and welcome back to The Big Vibe with Tev and Ty. I just want to say, what I really noticed is, Tev, I don't know if you've seen this, but like whenever we start recording and we do the the music's playing, have you noticed how big the smile is?
I see. I mean, it's such a great place to be, man. I'm happy to do this every week. I'm
for sure.
With my boy every week. Chat to the world. I actually dig it, man. It's actually a nice thing that we have going on here, man.
I think if we ever stop smiling, it's indicative that either we need to change or we need to stop. But that beginning smile, I was thinking about it and then I went and I actually scanned at all the episodes, like just the beginning parts. I'm like, wow, these smiles, these guys are happy with what they're doing. So welcome back, everyone. Episode 14. This will be the last episode for the year. Both of us have December plans, which I think we will be getting onto a little bit later. But you can rest assured we will be coming back in January, 100%. We've got some new ideas that we're going to try out in January because we need to keep reminding ourselves how new this is and what we're doing here is like still, a growing concept. But we have some cool ideas. I don't know if you can notice to the viewers that are seeing, it's crispy clear. It's you can even see. Got to make sure we get. Look, you can even see out the window back. Okay, so
views.
We upping here. We'll be back in January for sure. I think let's do the normal thing and start off with Tev. How was your week?
Pretty good week, a really busy week. Holiday plans are in full swing now, so getting ready to pack up, go. And this is actually going to be one of the first times that I go to a holiday destination that's not a island or in summer or, there isn't a pool or an ocean for me to go and swim in. Because that's the tradition, man. Like, even if it's a local trip in South Africa, you're going to Cape Town, you're going to Durban, I'm going to have a nice, relaxing, warm holiday. And this time, changing that up, going into Europe, going into France, and first time there, looking forward to it. Likely going to be snow. So let's see how it is, man. I'm already, as you can see, quite layered up. You know what December's like here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's wild. I think average temperature these days is about -2 on average.
Jeez.
Highs of 2 or 3. That's it. That's the downer for this week. Is just adjusting to these temperatures. Like, I'll try and get some context, but my car was frozen. It's one of the first times I've seen it. So you go out in the morning and you open up the front door, you look at your car and it's frozen. Like, there was times where I had to wait about 10 minutes just to open the door. It had actually frozen over.
Wow.
And this is before we even have falling snow. So really so different to the life I knew. Positives, looking forward to the holidays, looking forward to time away with Lisa. It'll be really nice, man. Got a lot planned, and I'll let you guys know how that is. How'd your week go?
The week has been good. It's been a nice week so far. So my down, I would have to say, as we draw towards the end of the year, you start getting real fatigue and like the sense of like, the year needs to come to an end now. And because I teach at an American school, like if you're back home or at like a school in like let's say the UK or I know Australia and New Zealand follow those times. This is now the end of the school year. Like a lot of schools in South Africa would be closing in the next few days, and then you're off for like 2 months, family time. Yeah. So I guess my downer would be like that. For me, it's like the middle of the year because my school's an American school. So that it's been a bit of a downer in some sense. And like obviously when Christmas draws around and you're away from home, it kind of it's my 3rd Christmas away from my family. So you do kind of get used to it, but it's still, it does suck a little bit.
Adjustment, yeah.
But in the same token, I actually have 2 highs of the week. The first one is, as I'm feeling down about like not having family and stuff, we are actually also going overseas. Also the first kind of holiday of this nature. We've done cool stuff over Christmas since we've been in Thailand, but like now we're actually going to India and Nepal.
Very nice.
Yeah. So we're going to hop in. We're going to go to a few places in India. It's about a 2-week trip few places in India. Then we go to Nepal. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this. I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be much like you having all the new experiences and stuff in Europe. I actually have no idea what to expect. So I'm really looking forward to it. That's the one high. And then the second high is been playing quite a lot of touch rugby, like in a community and stuff. Like, it's quite cool. But yesterday, played in a match. The match itself was okay. I was a bit tired, so I didn't play that well, unfortunately. But afterwards, play with this guy, and I don't know if he listens, but if he does, shout out Stan. He's from France, and Stan? he brought these he brought cheese and cold meats imported from France, man. And when I don't know if you're into cheese and cold meats and stuff, but and baguette, it's actually been declared like a cultural heritage in France.
I saw that. Yeah, UNESCO.
So he brought like the most delicious brie and tom cheese and saucisson, which is like a pepper crusted salami kind of thing. Oh man, that was good. So please do, while you're there, you make sure you get some cheese and bring back some feedback. Do you eat cheese? You like cheese?
I do. Fromage, as Dexter taught us so well. I am a fan. And I'm looking forward to exploring a lot of the cuisine that side. I know we chatted about kind of different foods, fine dining foods, and I think generally French food is considered quite top tier in not only the quality of it, but how it's prepared and the customs around it. So looking forward to trying out a lot of that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, one more thing. I don't know if you've had this. I was actually meaning to ask you. One of the highs also I would say that I had this week, and it happens to me quite frequently. I'm not sure you've had this feeling yet, but do you ever have the feeling like you forget that you live, for example, in the UK? Like, I sometimes forget that I live in Thailand, and then it kind of like washes over me, and I get this like almost like this surreal, like I almost can't believe that this is my life, And I had that this week as well, where it was like, I don't know, maybe again because I was thinking about Christmas and stuff, and like you just take a second and you stop and you realize like what you've done, not just for moving overseas, but like where you are, It's been really cool, and I love that feeling, and it happens like every month or couple of months, and I'm just like, it's just always such a nice like wow, like just look where I am, man, like this is crazy. Like I'm in Bangkok, like one of the biggest cities in the world, like a metropolis. I don't know if you've had a similar feeling.
Oh, definitely. Taking note, just like, whoa, perspective. This is like, real. This is real life, man. Lisa and I think for the past few months, firstly early on, and then kind of as we became more and more settled here. Because initially, in that first month, it's like, oh, well, we're just on a really long holiday. I'm expected to pack up my bags in the next few weeks. I'm going to head back. And then long holiday became, I'm here for an exchange program. So I'm just here for a few more weeks, maybe a few more months. And after those months, I'm going to actually go back. And now we're at like the over 6 months mark. And you're like, yes, like I didn't in my wildest dreams think I would be here. Like these past few months here felt like an entire year. So it was also the reminder that, at the beginning of this year, I was still in SA. I was still doing a lot of these things. And now I'm in a whole new world, whole new space. Look what we managed to achieve. Look at what we're doing. I didn't think France was even on the cards at the beginning of this year. If you told me, man, you're going to go to the UK, you're going to travel, and you're still going to be living such a good life. I would never have
nice one.
You. So perspective. Thank you, man.
I love it.
This is
favor.
I like it.
This is these wholesome moments, And now I believe you want to teach me something with a fun fact.
Oh yes. So as you see, we are embracing some Christmas themes here, with it being our final show for the year. So I thought I'd bring you guys a few facts about Christmas and December the 25th. So I'll start off with the one that I found quite interesting was that the Dutch gave us the idea to leave cookies and milk for Santa Claus. So it says here, if your kids leave Santa a little snack to keep him sated on his journey, thank the Dutch. On Saint Nicholas feast day on December the 6th, Dutch children actually leave him food and drink in exchange for the gifts that he leaves overnight. Another interesting fact is that Coca-Cola played a part in creating Santa's image. So before Coca-Cola decided to use his image for advertising, Santa's looks tended towards more of a spooky image rather than a jolly one. And it was only in 1931 that the beverage company hired an illustrator named Haddon Sundblom to depict the jolly old elf for magazine ads. Now, kids see visions and sugar plums instead of having Santa-themed nightmares. Final fact was that Christmas wasn't always celebrated on December the 25th. So while Christmas celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, the actual date of the big event is lost in history. And in the Bible, and many historians say Jesus was most likely born in the spring. Some historians posit the date as originally chosen because it coincided with a pagan festival of Saturnalia, which honored the agricultural god Saturn with celebrating and gift-giving. Those are my 3 interesting facts around Christmas that I came to know. I hope everyone else came to, find some interest in that, I would say.
I think, for me, I can't say I'm too shocked about the December 25th thing. To be honest with you, like that seems okay. And when you said the Coca-Cola thing, I thought it was like had something to do with red. Maybe they changed his color
to align, to
give us like a subliminal thing towards Coca-Cola. But if that story is true and they were just saving kids nightmares, I think that's pretty cool.
Some credit there.
As you were saying it, I was ready to become like super, like sarcastic or super like cynical and be like, oh, marketing wins again. But I guess Coke showed me up there. That's cool. I like it. I like these fun facts. We need to keep them coming. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe in the new year we can do a kind of, a New Year's resolution. There'll definitely be fun facts about that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But let's keep it Christmas. And I think there's a few points of discussion that we wanted to talk about. Let's start with the first one. With it coming around, do you have something that you love? What do you love most about Christmas?
I love the entire mood around Christmas, man. It's just so warm. It's so festive. You see people, the lights, and I think more so now that I see what a white Christmas would look like. So obviously back in SA, Christmas is coming dead bang in the middle of summer. So you don't have the snow falling. You don't have people in Christmas jumpers. You don't have all of these various traditions that you see on TV and in movies come to life. So being a part of it and seeing, I think this last week or the week beforehand, there was the lighting of the Christmas tree in our town center, which is quite a decent gathering. So everyone from the community comes there, they switch on the lights, and it kind of lights up street by street or road by road. And it's a massive Christmas tree. And as you kind of go down the road, you see the various angels or Santa Claus, you have Rudolph, you have so much festivity centered around these this particular day that's actually really nice to see. What I love about Christmas is the coming together and the feast that happens around Christmas, and being able to kind of incorporate Thanksgiving into Christmas. I think that's traditionally what happens, that we'd all give thanks, say what we appreciated from the year that has been, and just quality time with family and friends, man. I think that's my
I like that
point about Christmas. How about you?
So for me, the stuff that you're saying now, I can only imagine, because it's like, remember if you, I can't believe I remember the episodes. Maybe we'll get to a point where we don't remember what episode, but at this point I still remember in episode 2, when we spoke about like representation and how you felt, being like a person of color, and how you felt, regarding a lack of representation. When you're talking now about Christmas, I was kind of like, that is so true. Like, our expectations of Christmas are white Christmas, the jumpers, and we can't really relate to that, right? Christmas is something different to us, outside of, so personally, I'm not necessarily very religious. So for me, I don't have any religious affiliation to Christmas. So outside of that, I don't really have the same things of like this white Christmas that, you know, when my mom went to New York, she was like, it was amazing because there was a big tree. And, you know, there's certain Western cultures that we've adopted in Africa, South Africa. But yeah, while you were speaking, I was like, that actually sounds really cool, like to see, you know, what that's like. So yeah, that's really nice. For me, what do I love most about Christmas? It's actually similar to you. The festivities, yeah, it's oh no, I'll talk about what we don't like, but let me talk about what I do like actually. So what I really like is the bringing together of family. I really think it's just such a nice opportunity to be together. Like I just, you know, it's really awesome. Yeah, the feasting is good. I'm not so hot. I don't know what your family does, but normally like we do, I think, turkey stuffing, and sometimes like ham. What's that ham called? Yeah, I can't say I'm actually too hot on that. But my stepmom makes a mean stuffing. So, but it's everyone together. It's like 30 people at the table. It's, exactly. You know, it's all of that. Like, and no one really has, unlike New Year's, Christmas, it does have a certain expectation to it, but it's different. Where New Year's has this expectation that it needs to be big and the party needs to be awesome. Like I find Christmas, the expectations for Christmas is just that we need to be together. So if you say to your mom, I'm not going to be there on Christmas, she's going to be like, what? What do you know? Of course you are. You know, and your friends know, like, if you know your friend doesn't have family there, you invite him in. But you don't really hit up your friends and you're like, come, let's do something on Christmas. Like, dude, you know that it's you. Everyone knows it's for family.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that. I like that general understanding and that kind of thing. That would be my I guess my highlight. And what now? If that's what we like, what do you dislike?
The dislike of the exorbitant prices of everything, the madness that is the week of Christmas. Like, try and avoid them all at all costs, man, because it's havoc. Sometimes people get into physical altercations, fighting over like the last thing. I think we refer to it where fighting over the last woolen ball that's going to be the Christmas jumper, or the last turkey, or whatever it is, and it gets a bit mental. I'd say the havoc that's caused in the week of Christmas. Maybe that's down to last minute shopping. Maybe it's down to a few other factors. But I'd say, how much of it can be exploited from the commercial side of things?
Okay. Probably. Okay. Man, it sounds like I'm just repeating what you say here because I agree. I agree. So I don't like how it looks crazy in America. Like if you see it, it kind of goes like if you're on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever, you see in terms of posts, it's Halloween, Christmas, a little bit of Thanksgiving, but then Christmas, and it starts, and it's very early that it starts to happen, you know. And it's like you said, it's that exploitation of commercialism. I guess I think what I don't like is I know I mentioned like there's maybe not so much of an expectation in terms of like Friends, but I think sometimes there is the opposite is that expectation that sometimes gets placed on us, you know, by family. You know, it's like this. Sometimes it comes expectations in the form of gifts. Sometimes it comes expectations in. You know, and I don't really know how I feel about that, you know, that side of it where it's like, you know, and sometimes when you hear like the different, just like, I guess, expectations of beliefs, like what Christmas should be about and when that gets imposed on people, I don't really like that part of it, but that's a really, really small thing. I think for me, I know some people are cynical and they don't like Christmas, but like I would say the good far outweighs the bad. When it comes to Christmas.
I agree with that. 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Only other negative, Michael Bublé, stop just making Christmas albums. And Mariah, don't start playing on November the 26th. You still have a whole month to go. Please, man. Get it together. Stop defrosting Michael Bublé on the 1st of December. Give us other albums. Yeah.
Okay.
My
We
last
need
2 cents in
we
that.
need new albums. I saw George Ezra released a Christmas song. I haven't listened
Okay.
to it yet, so maybe that could be the new one that we could
Let me know
listen
how
to.
that goes. Yeah.
He disappeared. He disappeared for quite some time. I don't know if he
I
was
last heard
touring
Budapest
or
and then
I think he did quite a big like walk hike thing that he did. But I might be wrong. Oh, did you see this? Very unrelated to Christmas. Who's that guy? Mike. I think it's Mike Posner. He
Yeah?
did a walk. I think it's Mike Posner. I might be wrong, but I think it's one of these DJ kind of guys. He did a walk across America. I want to say America,
Yeah.
border to border. So he started in the one ocean. I don't know, east or west, and he walked across. But what happened was in the one desert that he was crossing, he got bitten by a rattlesnake. And it was like an emergency. You almost had to get a, what do you call it when they remove a limb again?
amputation.
Yeah, he almost had to get an amputation, and then he had to like recover and whatever. And after he recovered, he went back to that point where he got bitten, and he finished the walk. I was like, whoa,
Big ass to you,
crazy.
sir. I would have been
Wow.
long gone. Stayed at home.
Yeah.
That's the sign. If you're looking for a sign, you're like, rattlesnake. I see you. Cool, I'm gonna stay at home.
Sorry, I know that was random, but I just thought about when I thought, where's George Ezra been? But okay, let's talk presents. Let's talk presents. What makes, you can either say to you what makes a good present, or if you have a specific present in mind that stands out to you that you remember. Either one.
Something thoughtful. So thoughtful in the sense that either the recipient has mentioned that this is something that they want, and then they get it, or you know that it plays into what they like. What I found is fun presents is where I've seen videos of parents that buy kids these massive boxes. They unwrap it and they get into it, and it's another box and another box and another box, and you see their level of expectation start out really high and start dropping, and then like, all I got was this envelope, and then you open the envelope and it's something like, boom, you're going to Disneyland or Disney World. Like, actually, big kudos to you. You've taken me on an emotional roller coaster here. So things like that, I really dig that. So the non-traditional type gifts. So instead of boom, here's your PS5, here's your Xbox, kind of build a expectation around your gift. I think those are a really cool gifts. And I'd say even I think the change for me has been not having to receive something expensive or massively, like something big or generally an object in any sense. You could be like, oh man, I know you love hearing, reading, talking about football. I got you a membership at the Athletic, as an example. Like, yo, so sick, man. Now I'm involved.
Wow.
Things like that, I'd definitely say I like great gifts.
Wow.
How about you?
That Athletic thing is a sick gift. I just thought to myself.
Just saying, just putting it out there, guys.
Wow.
The Athletic is the one.
I mean, I do have a membership with the Athletic already, so don't buy me one. But that is a very, very thoughtful gift, or like an NBA season pass or whatever.
Yeah,
that's great. Wow.
Exactly right, man.
I think I agree with what you're saying. Obviously, the thoughtfulness makes a good gift. But what I also like is the gift of an experience. Like you said, So not always like a tangible thing, although tangible things are nice, of course. It's also nice to get like Katya's bought me some banging presents over the years. I'm not gonna lie, so that's nice. But it's like I said, the gift of an experience. I think that is really, really cool. So like, we went, for an example, on Katya's 30th, we went and we did a Thai cooking class. It's something that we'll never ever forget, or like maybe even to a certain extent, like your trip that's coming up, the gift aspect of that's really cool. Or like not just like going to a restaurant, but like a special kind of thing that you like, I was taken to Marble, for example. I wouldn't normally go to Marble, and it was like, not just did we go to Marble, but we got a table that was the kitchen side table. So like you actually watch them.
That's nice.
Yeah. And it's like you just said, like for the Athletic, for me, like I'm very, very interested in food, in cooking, in everything. So for me, it wasn't just like that I got to eat really nice food. It's that I got to see experts or real professionals running a service, like, and that for me, like, is what made that. I will never ever forget that. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, like, and I think that for me is what makes a good present, because it's like, you know, like you said, now it just shows so much thoughtfulness. It's like, you're not only showing me that, you know, I'm worth X amount of money, which, you know, kind of can.
It's nice for the ego.
Yeah, but you're also showing me that you're really taking the time to list, like, you know me, and it, as well as the tangible, it also makes you just feel loved and cared about.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's really, really cool. So, but if we're going to do the good, we're going to have to do the bad. So before I ask you, I found some examples of really bad Christmas presents that they got. So only three. The first one, the question on Reddit was, I won't say exactly because we're a PG show, but it's what's the worst present you can get? And I'm changing the word worst from a bad word. Okay. So the one was, re-gifting a gift basket, but it's obvious that you took out some items that you liked.
That's a sly.
Yeah, someone replied to that, and they were like, just replace it with office stuff, like stuff around the office they'll never even know. So like, you just put a stapler.
You know, like a branded pen.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's the one. The second one, once my sister was making me angry, I got her a $5 gift certificate for the store she was working at.
Yeah. You're definitely not invited to Christmas for 2 years straight.
Yeah. And then the last one was make a donation in their name to a charity, cause, or organization that is in opposition to their beliefs. Then give them the thank you email or receipt from the donation in a Christmas card. Or better yet, wrap it up in a big box. That's salty. That's salty.
Is deep. That probably loops back to what's the pettiest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think that takes the cake now. Probably...
So for you, like, do you maybe remember like or what are the attributes that make a present not great for you? Like what is it where you just like, and I mean, I know you don't have to say because you might be shaming someone who's listening or anything. So no pressure, no pressure.
So let's speak very holistically. I'd say you spoke about thought being a good driving factor in choosing the correct gift. I think more often than not, we get lost in trying to just get a really good gift, and that might not be the gift that the recipient likes. So if I think, yes, PS5 is the thing, man, it's the in thing, Tyler's going to love it, I'll buy Tyler PS5 and give it to Tyler, and Tyler's like, bro, I only game like once a month. I don't know what I'm even going to do with this, but thanks, no thanks. Yeah. And here you've kind of put all your eggs in that basket thinking, this is the best gift ever. I've spent so much money on it. I know it's like the in thing. It's going to be a hit. And you're just like, So for function, buying a gift for function, knowing your person, the person you're going to be buying it for, and function is always a key consideration, which I don't think is always the case. So I'll be like, boom, I'm a splurge. I'm going to give you all these things. And it's not something, maybe, I think bad gifts are gifts that you can only use in that moment or for a specific, very niche task. Like, here's an eggnog maker. When else am I going to make eggnog? What are the ingredients here that the components to this that I'm never going to use again? You're giving me a Christmas sweater and I'm in the heart of South Africa where I'm like 35 degrees. Well, I'm not going to wear it out if I'm not a festive person.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. And I think often what happens is people buy gifts that they think, I would like this, so Tevin must like this. You know, and it's like, but it doesn't always work like that, my man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I also find the thoughtlessness sometimes, you know, like like we live overseas now, you know, and, you know, sometimes you don't know, like, necessarily, like, maybe imagine just before you left and someone buys you, like, something heavy or something like, you know, I can't take this with me. You know, you know, like that kind of like, or like, you know, and what I also don't like is when people, and I remember when I was younger, and I'm going to actually tell the story, but when people try and be funny, you know, like they're like, so yeah, I'll tell you my story. So I was young. I was like, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9. And, your expectations are actually ridiculous when you're that age, when you're asking for Christmas presents, right? And like, I remember asking for a 4-wheeler motorbike, right? Now, in some cases people get those kinds of gifts, but I'll say, like my family's, for a bunch of reasons, financial expectations. I mean, living in the heart of like Greenside, like I don't know what was, but I was young. Okay. So I want a 4-wheeler. And instead of being like, someone speaking to me, be like, my man, like, check your expectations. Like, bro, like, let's get it together. What they ended up getting me was like a remote control 4-wheeler, and I just remember like feeling so disappointed because it's like, not only did you not tell me that this isn't going to happen, but now I wasn't really into like cars and like that kind of stuff. So now you also got me something that I really don't like, and you found it funny, and I'm 8 years old and my feelings are hurt, and I really don't like it. I just think it's like,
because that's the leg that can stand on. It's like, I got you what you wanted, but it's not entirely what you wanted. It's like, you wanted a 4-wheeler, so in theory, I got you what you wanted, but
like, ha ha ha, like, aha, you didn't specify.
You can't,
like,
don't hold this against me.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Anyway, I think so. If anyone's looking for tips on, you can bear that in mind. I think it's actually a good spot if people are still, if you're listening and whatever, do things. Like, we make this free content, and giving us a like is free. So just come on, Christmas gift. That's actually what Tev and I want. A like, a subscribe, and a share with a friend.
I mean, really, now we spoke about Spotify Wrapped. Get us wrapped up, all up in your Christmas gifts, guys. This is it. Give us a really, give us a great rating, man. Like Tyler mentioned a few episodes ago, in Spotify, you can go into the specific channel. So, Big Vibe with Tev and Ty, rated. I mean, you guys are still listening, and this is episode 14, so that might say something.
Yeah, for sure. We are also, I don't think we can actually say all the audio platforms that we're on. The other day, I just went ham, and I just put us on everything. We're on like Samsung Audio. We're on like Amazon Music. We're on Deezer. We are like all these places now. I was just like, we're everywhere. So anyway, I found a nice scenario thing on Reddit, the place to be, and it's a Christmas related story. Now I want to read the story to you, and then we can spend maybe 5 minutes discussing it. Okay, so basically the thread is generally or the subreddit is, am I the a-hole? Okay, and the title for this one is, am I the a-hole for calling my wife unreasonable for backing out of spending Christmas with my family after my mother rejected her cookie sample? So let me read the story for you. It's going to take me just a minute to read. Okay, so for every holiday, my mother would ask the woman in the family, my sisters, sister-in-law, my wife, my female cousins, to send samples of the desserts they plan to bring to the celebration for testing, and to see if these desserts could make it to the food menu. My wife has been complaining about my mother deliberately rejecting every dessert sample she sent. So many times my mother has told her that she's being honest and keeping the guest's best interests at heart. Yet my wife still thought that my mother is deliberately excluding her, since 2 of her dessert samples were rejected before. For this year's Christmas, my mother is doing the same thing, but she told every woman who is participating to make a cookie sample and send it to her for testing. My wife took it as a challenge, and to be honest, she worked really hard to make a good sample and sent it to my mother days ago, and the results just came in. I came home from work and found my wife upset. I asked what's wrong, and she told me that my mother rejected the sample she sent and decided to exclude her baking from the food list for Christmas this year. I didn't know what to say, but then she told me she was backing out of the invitation to attend Christmas with my family. I was stunned when I heard her make this statement. I tried to talk to her, but she said it was done. I called her unreasonable, bad, never do that, to decide to bail on the whole family over some cookie sample. That's just freaking crazy and quite unreasonable. We had a full-on argument about it, and she stated that my mother caused this, but I told her that my mother is pretty serious and careful about the food she offers to the guests, since we are going to have relatives coming from all sides of the country. She told me to stop mentioning it. Later, I heard her cry despite telling her that her baking is amazing and people have preferences. That's all. Am I the a-hole for insisting that her decision was unreasonable? For your information, if you're asking whose cookie sample made it to the menu, the answer is my sister and my 2 cousins. some extra info to put in here. One, my wife wasn't the only one whose sample was rejected. My mother did not force anyone to participate. It was up to whoever wants to take part. This is just about the dessert, since my mother tends to be very careful in this category. But for other types of food, dishes, appetizers, salads, and stuff, whatever like that is welcome, so you can bring anything you want. And then now she just has the last thing that the person said here. Great. So I just got off the phone with my brother, and he told me that his wife is doing the same thing as my wife, and that she has decided to back out of the invitation for Christmas. Turns out my wife must have told her about her decision, and she decided to follow her lead. My brother is pissed, saying my wife is encouraging his wife to do this. I see that the problem has just gotten bigger now. Who knows? My younger sister might join in and decide not to go as well. I don't know how this got out of control so quickly. I guess we'll have to try a discussion with my mother about this soon and see how it goes. So just quickly, just a summary of what happened. Basically, this mother needs to see, she wants to taste all the desserts beforehand.
Master Chef,
right? Yeah. And then she picks and chooses who brings the dessert, okay? This guy's wife has tried now, this sounds like the third year in a row. Mother rejected it. She's upset. She's saying she doesn't want to go to Christmas anymore. The added thing about the brother's wife not going, neither here nor there. So what do you think? What do you think about this guy's response? How do you think of this situation?
Yo, man. One, it's a lot deeper rooted than just cookies. I think that's cookie is the vessel. The cookie or whatever the task is the vessel in which daughter-in-law can appease mother-in-law and just get to some kind of common grounding. I think that's probably, I'd say that it's so hard probably for this daughter-in-law just to break in, that this was kind of the outlet that she thought, look, mother loves cooking. This is the one area that I can impress her in, and this will be my inroads into getting close to her, and maybe for the rest of the family, now I'm seen as the cookie girl, and now that's my standard, and that's my kind of gold star to get me integrated. So I think family dynamics are always such a tricky thing to navigate, especially because you have two families merging into one, and there's always going to be learning curves in understanding what the husband's family is like versus what the wife's family is like, and what expectations are. So working around these expectations. I think, firstly, the mother, why is she hosting a MasterChef level bake-off
unnecessary
competition? Yeah. The easiest thing is to say, guys, everyone bring cookies.
Yeah.
And we're going to have cookies around. And we can make it a competition if you want, but just have variety in the cookies. I can go around and I can sample. Actually, I like these peanut butter style cookies as opposed to the chocolate chip ones. So just in the context or in the nature of parity, have everyone bring their cookies. You guys and your guests can sample, and they can then choose from there what their favorite is, even if they don't say it out loud. But I think it is really a deeper rooted issue. I think the guy should, one, take it up with his mom and say, Mom, why firstly, why is it so strenuous for them just to submit cookies?
Yeah.
It's a Thanksgiving, it's a Christmas. Let's all get over ourselves. We just get to have family time and quality time. So if you have issues with the cookies, I think you guys should address it, and cookies being the vessel, but there should be an occasion where the daughter and the mother can have a chat through whatever the underlying cookie problem is. But the guy, I think the guy's a peacemaker, man, and the guy's like, I just want everyone to have a good time. I want everyone to be cool.
But do you think it's okay that he called her unreasonable?
If I'm solely focusing on cookies, then maybe it'd have a leg to stand on. But I think we can all agree that it's beyond cookies at this point. So I think the way that he should have addressed it was saying, look, I understand that you're upset, and I'll take it up with my mom. I think what I'll tell her is like, Mom, let's try something different this year. How about we all just bring cookies, and you guests can decide the favorite. So almost turning the situation around or proposing something else that would maybe try and meet everyone's expectation and build a bit of a middle ground if it's possible. How about you? What's your take on this? Very contentious.
The mother is crazy. That's my first. That was my initial thing, is that the mother is crazy, and I think I agree with you. This is much deeper than just this one situation. So for years, it sounds like she's been doing this, and I'm like, why are you letting her get away with these shenanigans? Like, you can't. Like, I think you are sowing the seeds for conflict. That's what you're doing. There's no outcome here that is going to be good, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous that this is happening. That's the first thing. The second thing is I think that he is very wrong in this whole situation, because if it was the first time, and you should never ever call your partner unreasonable. I think it undermines them, and I don't agree with that. But anyway, if it was the first time, maybe it's a little bit different, where it's like, okay, yeah, and then when the second year rolls around, I'll be like, just don't participate. Just don't play these games with them. Just don't do it. Like,
I think for the wife, it might be a case of, but you see, every other wife is participating. Do I now look like the black sheep by not participating? So
yeah, okay, I get that, but I just think that there's so many layers to this, that the wife saying, like, at this point, like, I cannot do this, like, this is just hurtful. You have to support. I believe you should support your wife in this situation. Like, I really do. I think, like, it's not on, man. Like, and also, like, you're really letting your mom get away with things here. Like, and this just sounds like I said, the whole thing about, like, it's just, what is this? Like, what's this dessert Olympics that's going on? Like, what's, like, what outcome are you looking for? In what scenario do you see this make? And this is that expectation thing I was talking about.
Yes.
Like, why, like, for me, when I read the story, I was like, okay, yeah, I think he is wrong. But what really killed me was, like, I was like, how do these people let the mother get away with these things? And this is like one of those, but this is my family tradition and these are my expectations. I'm like, I think, like, that's wrong. And yeah, I think my heart goes out to this woman. I think this guy needs to, I know you say he's a peacemaker, but I think he needs to man up a little bit, and he just has to be like, I just think, like you said, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. There's definitely a deeper need to seek approval from the mother-in-law here, which makes me think that there's probably more scenarios and situations where she's a very difficult woman to please, like, and I just think, it's just not on, man. It's just not on. That's kind of my feeling on it. Yeah, man. So look out for those. I'm going to look for more of those kind of scenarios. I quite like them, where we can discuss it. I think that's quite cool. So let's see what happens with that. Now I want to talk a little bit about this, and I think this will lead us into the next segment. A safety travel index came out.
Yeah.
And basically what they did is they took various countries, the 50 most visited countries. So now this doesn't mean that these are the most unsafe places in the world. It just means that of the 50 countries that are visited the most, they ranked it according to 7 different factors that basically talks about, the safety. So it's like homicide, road traffic deaths, poisoning deaths, death from poor hygiene, diseases, injury, like life or years lost, natural disaster. And what they do is they then rank the most dangerous place to go and then the least dangerous place to go. And lo and behold, up at number 1, the most difficult of the 50 visited countries is the one and only South Africa. And it's not nice, because it kind of like feeds into this narrative of, like, a lot of expats that leave, or like, when you ask them, like, oh, like, how's South Africa? A lot of expats, the first thing they say is about the crime and etc. And I've really introspected since I've been here, and I've been like, I need to stop saying that. I need to, like, I don't want to be that guy, And then when the numbers start to come out, it's like, but the lights are off. But people, these things are happening. And it's, I've had some of the most amazing holidays and the coolest trips. And I think as people that are coming from all over the world, they can have the most beautiful holiday. So yeah, and number 2 is India. So I'm obviously a sucker for punishment in that. I'm not going to go through the whole list because why? But I wanted to check where, let's see, the United Kingdom is number 40. So you're pretty safe there. Good choice. And number 35 is France. So you don't need to worry about that. It looks like you shouldn't get there. The homicide rates are very low. So you're good there. Watch out for traffic. The biggest threat that you have on your trip to France looks like it is death from poor hygiene conditions. So just shower while you're there.
Okay, and wash hands. Clearly.
The safest place, Singapore, in terms of visited countries. And then obviously you have your Denmark, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, Austria, all of those places. Yeah, exactly.
And as a traveler, and a worldwide traveler at that, does seeing stats like this, images, infographics like this, deter you from visiting a particular place? Or
that's a good question.
Either here nor there.
I think having grown up in South Africa and particularly in Joburg, not that I think that we're bulletproof, but I think it kind of it's like when people if you from let's say from a safe country, right? That's let's not even ignorant, but like a safer country, and you're like, when you go to New York, be careful of pickpockets, or when you go to this place, be careful of that. I kind of feel like being born and raised in South Africa, I'm kind of like, I think I'll be okay with stuff like that. Like, I know where not to go. I know what scenarios are not cool. Like, I know because it's like I'm not used to it. I'm not saying like I grew up in like and I grew up in all these and I grew up in these hardcore places, but I'm savvy because we had to be, right? So when I see these statistics, like for example, number 5 is Brazil. Seeing this statistic doesn't make me not want to go to Brazil, right? If I look at Brazil, I already know where not to go, you know, and that I don't even have to do the research, and I'll know when I'm there and scenarios and etc. What about you? Does it like affect you?
Not necessarily. Like you said, we as South Africans are generally a lot more street smart, man. And as bad as the experience has been, that has been kind of the silver lining, is that I'm a bit more hesitant, or I'm a bit more. I have better understanding of my surroundings in terms of assessing people's character, the situation, the environment. I'd know how to take care of myself in one of these countries or destinations. So I'd say no, because number one, we know how to operate in an area that isn't necessarily savory, and you always do the research to back that as well. Like, well, okay, cool. If India is unsafe, which are the unsafe areas of India? Know where to go. I'm not going to put myself in a position to experience gun violence or whatever it is. And you just, we just have that extra level of perspective, lived experience that just adds to us being a bit more. Yeah.
I think sometimes when it comes to these kinds of things, like, you have to also take it with a pinch of salt, because some of the index and the numbers that they're looking at shouldn't impact a normal traveler. So, like, what do I mean by that? So, like, if an American comes to me now, or a European who I know is wealthy, and they're like, should I go to South Africa? I'm like, 1000% you should, because I know you can afford a tour guide, and I know you're going to nice places, right? Yeah. So if you're looking at like the statistic for homicide deaths, now we know like the deaths and these kinds of things that happen often happen in like, let's say, townships and stuff. Now, I know that this European or American that's speaking to me, you're not going there. So not that you're safe now and it only happens there. But I'm just saying, like, the kind of holiday that you are going to have is not going. So these statistics are not necessarily corresponding with what you would experience on a holiday, if that makes sense, you know? Exactly. But this kind of like, okay, so like Thailand's number 12. Like, I would say I've never felt safer in my life. And you tell me number 12, it's kind of like doesn't really add up. Yeah. But this kind of launches so nicely into our section, which will be obviously around the world. Yeah, hopefully that works. If not, I saw here that Indonesia is number 10. Okay. Now, Indonesia, so my news from the East is this, that Indonesia has recently passed a new law that they brought in from starting, I think it was a couple of days ago, yesterday or something. And basically, this law is that sex outside of marriage is going to be punishable by jail. So basically what is going to happen now is that if you are caught sharing a room with somebody who's not your wife, you are susceptible to go to jail. Now, I know that Indonesia, particularly Bali, is very close to like Australia, and like they go and do their vax and their rage and stuff like that in Bali. And now we know what happens at these festivals. We know what happens, so I'm just wondering if like, based on, cause now this whole index is based on the 50 most traveled countries. I just wonder if that's going to impact the amount of people that are wanting to go there. Right. And like the ripple effect of that.
Oof. Yeah. Economically, what's this going to mean for Indonesia? Because isn't a large, portion of the, income generated or put into the country through tourism. So
yeah,
very fascinating to see. Also, I was wondering, how do you police this? How do you honestly?
Yeah,
that's what I was really wondering. Like,
I've spoken to a couple of people that are from Indonesia, and I was like, "What do you think this means?" And they were like, "To be honest with you, all that's going to happen is that the rates of bribery and corruption are just going to go up, because in these countries that are what we consider third world, you can't enforce these laws in third world countries where you're not paying your police, enough.
Yeah.
Like bribes are a lot less enticing when you're earning a respectable salary, because this $100 bribe, you make $500 a month, hypothetically. This $100 bribe, the risk is not worth the outcome. But you're earning $100 a month, and essentially I'm offering you your salary.
Yeah.
This month you're doubling your salary. It starts. So they just like, it's going to be really, like you said, really difficult to enforce. And then I wondered, do you think it's viable to because obviously Indonesia is much bigger than just Bali, but do you think it's viable to have separate laws? So like in Bali, maybe this law doesn't. And what do you think the semantics of that would be like?
Oh, I think then you're just opening up far too many possibilities that I don't think that it would stick. So if Bali comes out outraged, they hold protests, then the next city in Indonesia or one of those islands, they also have their say, and eventually you just have chaos and anarchy that essentially is brought to the fore, because people are like, no, how's Bali not susceptible to abide by these laws? What kind of nonsense is that? And I just find it so interesting, because like you're saying, with the laws, this could be the leverage that officials can use to gain bribes. So if I suspect, I have no physical proof, I have nothing to go about, but I'm like, I have it out for Tyler. Hey, Tyler, I know you're busy with this, man.
Yeah.
Have your say. You can either pay me a good $200 here, or I can take you to the station, bro. And there's going to be, such, I think, a disgusting level of police showboating and kind of enforcement of the authority on people, just because they have this caveat to act and operate.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see. They do say that the reason that they're doing it is because they're trying to enforce their values as a nation, which you can't really argue with. It's also like similar to like
with Qatar.
Previous. Yeah. When it starts going infringing on human rights, it's different. But in this case, I'm like, it's not really infringing on your human right. Your human right is not to come into this country and just have sex with people. Like that's not a human right, So in that case, but I mean, like to jail, like it's hectic. It's just quite an interesting story.
That
I thought from the East.
How serious they are about this and how passionate they feel about it. So very interesting. I'd like to see what the outcomes of this is. News from the West. I think once again, I need to change my theme of all stories that I find, because more often than not, they're not of the happy-go-lucky nature. Being centered around Christmas, there's actually a great Santa shortage in the US. So ABC News reported this and saying that in-person Santa visits are trying to get back to the pre-pandemic levels, but this has proved to be a lot harder of a challenge than expected. So obviously with lockdown, COVID, there was a reduction in-person, in-contact occasions, especially I think in malls and generally areas that are centered around children and their foot traffic, for lack of a better phrase. So seeing a lot less Santas being available to give gifts out to kids, hear what their wish list is, and to provide a festive experience for the kids. So it's very fascinating that you'd imagine that a job is a job is a job. I can find anyone, put on a red suit, get the fake beard, I have a Santa for the day. So the fact that there's a shortage, be it due to lack of interest, fear of contact, and with there still being some discomfort with the COVID disease going around. I think it's really such an interesting take on from the West.
What I find quite interesting about this, I've been thinking about this quite a lot. I'm really fascinated to see what the knock-on effect of COVID is. So like, I feel I mentioned it like with my seniors, with the seniors at my school, how a certain part of their childhood has been lost, right? And I think this has happened at all various stages, you know, like, I'm just like wondering, like countries that are still quite strict on like masks, it would be very interesting to see research that backs like the psychological development of not seeing people's faces properly over a certain period of time. Similarly, you know, you kind of feel bad because like this is, I mean, I can't necessarily say that it was a huge part of my childhood, like seeing a Santa, but 100%, I'm sure I was super excited when I was like 3 or 4 years old and I got to see like that Santa at the mall, and you know, and for that to be taken away in this regard is it kind of sucks, you know. It's like, I don't think this is going to cause. Let me be clear: this is not going to cause long-term psychological damage. You know, that's not what I'm saying. But just this is just a nice, not a nice, but this is an example of one of the things that I think COVID has affected on like a much bigger scale, right? So it's not just the 2 years of lockdown. Now it's like, okay, so what have we lost in that space? Like the way football was behind closed doors wasn't the same. You see the penalty shootouts that are happening now, the big pressure moments is completely different, right? And now I'm just wondering, like, this is just another sad thing where it's kind of like taking this away from kids. It's just, it sucks, you know?
It's tough because, I mean, we all like to use shared experiences to build rapport with one another. If I know, okay, did you go to Cresta? Oh, yeah, there was that Santa. Oh, I actually also had a Santa at Northgate Mall or whatever it was. And, you know, you're eliminating an aspect of, essentially an aspect that people can use as a vessel or a device to spark conversation and integrate into their
and
areas.
Just the general festivities, right? Like it's also impacting that. So, that kind of sucks. But hopefully, you know, it's just like a short-term thing. But let's, I think we can start wrapping up. It's quite a nice long episode as the last one for the year. And I want to end us off on so that was a little bit of a downer. Let's go up. Let's pick it up. So I want to talk about I didn't do one last week. I didn't do a wholesome moment, but I have another wholesome moment for us that didn't happen now necessarily. But it's related to Christmas. So it was in World War One. It's called the Christmas Truce. Now, I don't know if people have heard about this, but it actually fits in so nicely with the time of year and basically what happened. And I know you said you hadn't heard of this. So we know World War One was the trenches, right? So it was a very, very I think all wars are terrible. This one, I think, had the highest numbers of like PTSD. It was the first war at this scale. It went on a lot longer than a lot of people thought it would. So it was really, really a terrible time. But now on Christmas Eve, it's such a cool story. On Christmas Eve in 1914, on the Western Front, all quiet on the Western Front. Okay. This was in Belgium. What happened was, and actually, the article that I found has a British soldier who kind of reflects on basically what happened during this what's called the Christmas truce. So he says, "Here I was in this horrible clay cavity, miles and miles from home, cold, wet through and covered with mud. There didn't seem the slightest chance of leaving, except in an ambulance." So already it's quite... And then at around 10 p.m., music broke out. I listened, he recalled. Away across the field among the dark shadows beyond, I could hear the murmur of voices. "Do you hear the Germans kicking up that racket over there?" "Yes," came the reply. "They've been at it for some time." Suddenly, we heard a confused shouting from the other side. We all stopped to listen. The shout came again. The voice was from an enemy soldier speaking in English with a strong German accent. He was saying, "Come over here." Then one of the British sergeants answered, "You come halfway, I come halfway." And basically what happened next stunned the world. It made history. So basically what happened now is all these enemy soldiers started climbing up into, no man's land between the two trenches. And they just everyone started shaking hands. Everyone started singing together. They were smoking cigarettes together. They were drinking wine together. And it was a spontaneous party that happened on Christmas Eve. They shared chocolate with one another, with the British and the German soldiers. Yeah. And then a football game broke out. And that's what the Christmas truce was. They came together on Christmas Eve, one day killing each other, literally going from, during that day, shooting at each other, to like, hey, let's call a truce. And it wasn't like a plan, like, the top dogs, like often we know that war is fought and won by soldiers, but it's not necessarily that it represents their interests. They just represent their country. Yeah. And it wasn't like the president or whoever was involved in the war at that time, it wasn't like the Western, like the Allies were like, okay, go party with the Germans, have a nice time. It's just such a nice, wholesome human beings coming together, playing football together on Christmas, just being together. And that was the Christmas truce of 1914. And I just think it is such a beautiful, like, the humanity and just that side of it. Just like, even the one guy says, here we were laughing and chatting to men whom only a few hours before we were trying to kill. It's just, and there's pictures, for those that are watching the video, you'll see the overlaid pictures here where they broke out into a game of football. And it's just, I just thought it was a really cool story.
I can't even begin to comprehend the rationale. Like, I think, like you're saying, the human element defying everything. I think I find that so fascinating. Like, how do you go from literally red eye, I'm out to kill you, nothing going to stop me. It's my life versus your life. One of us is going to lose, and I don't intend it to be me. And the next thing, I'm like, oh yeah, let's have a kickabout, let's sing songs. I find that so... I can't even believe it. I'm honestly so stumped. And then probably the next day, then you go back to life as normal. I'll see you on the other side. Good luck to you.
And the war, then obviously we know the war went on for 3 more years. I don't know if this happened to anyone, but I mean, can you imagine like you killed a guy that you were bowling with yesterday? It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Like,
but
how doesn't that change you? Like, now I've built rapport with Tyler, my enemy. Is there a certain extent, there's something in me that creates hesitancy when I'm out to kill you? Or I'd be so keen to have like a psychologist analyze and deep dive and say how mentally just switch back and forth and back and forth.
Well, the one guy, British guy, does recall like a German soldier who said, "Today we have peace. Tomorrow you fight for your country. I fight for mine. Good luck." you know, and it's kind of like I think there's this general understanding, and, you know, this thing of this respect between soldiers, I think is completely uncomparable for people that haven't been to war. I think like this brothers in arms kind of thing, you know, mentality, and this mutual respect that soldiers, I imagine, have for each other. And I don't think there's any grudges like, oh, we were playing together yesterday, now you're shooting at me. I think soldiers, they operate differently. So, you know, I just think, you know, it kind of makes your problem seem small, if you know what I mean. Like, it's kind of like, I know this was a long time ago, but it's still, you know, it's just that thing of like, maybe I should just encourage our listeners and our viewers to make that Christmas truce, man. Just put it aside.
There we go.
Put it aside and just shake hands, give a hug, and go back to having your issues tomorrow. But just, you know, have a good Christmas. Just enjoy that moment. And if you think you can't do it, just think back to 1914, that people lay down their guns for a day to be together. And, you know, how bad can it really be, whatever you're going through in that moment? Just be lacquer, man. Just be lacquer.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect way to round up the show. I think that's a incredibly wholesome moment. I think we can all look to apply to our lives, especially over Christmas. So yeah, call your family, call your friends, let them know exactly how much you love them, how much they mean to you, and declare that for this week, man.
Yeah. And I guess what we should say is we can't really say exactly where we are anymore, because we can't just say we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, because now we're on them all. We're on Deezer, we're on this, we're on that, we're on this. So basically just, we love the vibe that you guys have been sharing with us. Thank you for everything. It's been a crazy 3 months. Often you hear podcasters say like, oh, it's been a crazy time since I started. And you take it for granted until you start doing it. It's been crazy. It's been great. It's been like really awesome. I think Tevin and I have learned so much. And we look forward to learning more and continuing and creating all this content. So from my side, Merry Christmas. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you in the new year, 2023.
Yeah, have a great Christmas. Have a great festive season. We'll see you in 2023. Thank you for being part of our journey. Keep safe, travel safe, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Ciao.
That's right.